green, but it was a little big.
Yeah, well, I was working with it. Good evening and welcome to Wednesday night at 9 p.m. I'm Mike Z. This is the Whatnot Podcast.
I'm Chris, and man, I missed you all last week.
Absolutely. We've had some stuff going on, and just last week was just not going to work out. So we're back this week, though, and we appreciate you joining us. And we figured this might be a nice area to talk about that Chris and I have we've done a lot on both sides of this fence. So what we wanted to basically jump into tonight was just talking about how to work with manufacturers, whether you're just starting out and you're wanting to be an influencer, maybe someone who just wants to get sponsorships for everything that they do. We just basically wanted to, come to you with what we've learned from doing this, both as a individual, who's someone who's looking to try out new tools or whatever the case may be, as well as on the side of people who want to work with us in our day job. So kind of figured we'd go ahead and say that. So let's start the evening with good old Gerald Vance. Hello from West Virginia. Hello, Gerald. And John, what you doing?
Howdy.
We assume it's always John, but maybe it's Michelle. Maybe it's both.
I think you should provide some details in the chat as to who's actually watching us. Yeah, we want to make sure we give credit where credit is due.
Absolutely. So let's see here. As always, we thank you for joining us. If you have any comments or something you've experienced while doing this, please feel free to join us in the comment section. Or if you have any questions, feel free to jump in there as well.
Yeah, jot them down. We'll get to them eventually.
Eventually. It's John. Okay.
Thanks for clarifying that for us. Now we know.
Good evening. All right. A little rusty on all this. It's been a minute. There we go. Got that going there. All right.
Hope everybody's getting enough sawdust in their nose to keep the fire rolling for them.
Tell you what, I haven't posted everything I got done last weekend, but it was a busy weekend for sure.
Yeah, for you, it's less sawdust and more paint fumes.
Actually, I did cut up some sawdust. I had to. So Broyhill Furniture has this terrible. And when I say terrible, I mean I don't know what genius came up with it. And if you're the genius that came up with it, please allow me to tell you this was not the smartest idea. It must have been a cost-saving measure because they used wooden runners inside the dresser drawers, the chest of drawers, and they used wooden slides, metal runners under the drawers. So you have wood and metal that were working against each other. Basically, they just tear up over time. There's no real way to fix it. The metal's real thin, so it's all bent out of shape. So what I had to do is this was for a baby's room. And so what I did was I reconstructed it to where the drawer stayed on track. They had something so they didn't fall out. And it was kind of a last minute thing, so I didn't get a lot of pictures of it because I was delivering it that day. And I thought, I didn't do that yet. That happens.
Yeah, when I was in high school, my senior year, they had an internship at Broyhill. And anybody in the woodworking class who had already taken 2 years of the woodworking courses in high school got first dibs on this internship. Mm-hmm. Well, all I needed to know was it was furniture, and it got me out of school around lunchtime. Didn't need to know anything else. This was my senior year, so I spent my most of my senior year working for Broyhill in the afternoons from 2 to 7-ish.
I would totally do that.
I'm very familiar with their wood and metal runner combinations, at least in the early 90s.
Yeah, and then they have this little piece of plastic on the back that helps track it. keeps it from falling out. It's just a pain in the butt. So I had to reconstruct 3 drawers in the chest and 4 in the dresser. This little idea I had worked. I didn't think to take a picture of it. So the next piece I do, I'll take a picture of it. Good evening, Kyle. Welcome.
Hello. Yeah, I've had some furniture that I purchased either at flea market, yard sale, or restore kind of setup, and I had the same problem. So I've just learned. I started making modified dovetails. So I make one piece that's like this, and then I make 2 side pieces that are separate that get fastened, so it keeps that dovetail, on track.
Yeah.
Cheap, but it works.
That's better than this metal. I'll do an entire. I would do a video on that and just how ways you can fix it, because there are ways you can fix it. You can just take pliers and straighten out the metal. Usually the metal's what gets bent, and then once that bends, it starts tearing up the wood. So there's nothing you can do about the wood at that point. Just take it out. I actually left everything except for the runner on the drawer, because the drawers were in good shape, and used that to actually support the drawer. But the things I put on the side were just to keep it in line, and then parts on top so it wouldn't fall out.
Yeah, because the little dovetail piece that rides on, it's always so thin.
Yes.
So doesn't take much. But anyway.
So what are we talking about tonight? We're talking about, for all you late joiners, this is going to be ins and outs, things that we've learned about working with manufacturers. For myself, I have worked with a few. I have learned quite a few things being on the other side of that fence too, with them, as far as, when you get to know the sales reps, when you get to know the marketing people, what they look for. Everybody's different. There is not a single one out there that is a carbon copy of another, which is nice. And at the same time, it makes it really difficult. The other things that it is that somehow at some point I was invited into the Dewalt sampling group. And basically what they do is that they send me a tool. They ask for an honest review. I have to send them a nice write-up, pros and cons. I never sugarcoat it. It's always like, hey, really thought this was cool. Fits with the rest of my drills or whatever my set is. Downside is this. And the funny thing is I find those reviews are sent to Canada. They're not even using the U.S. So no idea how that works. But
sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds about right. But
Canadian marketing group testing the Dewalt products.
I will say that so with that said, one caveat to that is that if you went ahead and you took reviews, Home Depot, Amazon, Walmart, Clean Sports Woodworking Shop, wherever you may want to leave your review, be consistent, have the same name, and then therefore you can take that and screenshot it and kind of put together a portfolio of how your reviews work. So some manufacturers are going to look for, how you do reviews, how you do product reviews just online as reading content, because people are out there and they're researching before they buy, if they can find anything that they want right now. But in the future and in the past, it's been that you do a little research before you jump the gun on something. Even if you saw a video, you got really inspired by that video and you want to run out there and you want to buy it. Sometimes you're like, well, how many stars does that have? Okay. Mostly it's 4.5. That's cool. That must be pretty good. Let me read some of those reviews. If you show them what you can do as far as a good, honest review, and then the manufacturers are taking a look at how many people like that review, how many people didn't like that review, if you got any comments or feedback on that review, to show you're engaged. That's what they're looking for. I'm not sure what you have on that one.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people who just do the review and are extremely favorable to some manufacturer or whatever just because they gave them a product.
Yeah.
But I've had conversations with people who've tried to send me stuff, and I give them honest. Here's how I'm going to do it, and here's what I'm going to do, and it could go good or it could go bad. I'm not gonna just sugarcoat it just because you're giving me a product. And most of the time they're willing to abide by that, and kind of it works. But if you're inconsistent with that, people are going to see that, and you're going to be less likely to have people even want to interact with you.
So you're using the trust equity type.
Well, and it varies too, because if it depends on what side of that coin you're on. There are a lot of people who want to get into making content and they want to try to be something they're not. So they're out, peddling themselves to try to get free stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just found that can be a little bit icky to certain people. And obviously, you working where we do, I'm sure you've gotten quite a bit of that from people asking you to send them free stuff just to try to get free stuff. And, I'm of the mindset if I'm going to have content, I want that content to be honest and true. Not just truth, but true being, this is me. I'm a woodworker. I have X number of year experience, and I'm going to give you a valid, reliable review of what this product will do for me and what it could potentially do for someone else. And there's some products that I just said, no, thank you. Appreciate it. If it doesn't fit where I am, I'm not interested. If it looks cheap, I don't want anything cheap Chinese thing that is not gonna make. I don't want to make it look horribly bad because you can tell right away how what the quality is, and some people don't care. They just want product for free so they can just get content and do reviews and get free stuff. And that's, you just got to figure out where you're going to play that game and go from there.
Well, let's see. So Gerald asked the question, is there a minimum number of engagements before manufacturers or vendors will look at you as a potential partner? And really, I'll let you go with this one, Chris, before I jump in.
I've found that it depends on the manufacturer. And for instance, I don't go out and promote myself as someone who wants you to call me and ask me to review your product. However, I've had a handful of people do that, and some have been because they have seen my video or my content reviewing one of the other products from theirs that I've purchased, that I gave favorable reviews for. Obviously, I had my money invested, so I'm going to give reviews on what I think as a consumer. Some people reach out because of that. Others reach out because they've seen other content you've done on reviews of products and they like how you present the review. That's the key. If your method of reviewing a product doesn't mesh well with that manufacturer, they may not want to do business with you and partner with you. The key is be true to yourself. And like Mike said, be consistent about it. And I feel like I do that fairly regularly because I've reviewed a lot of stuff that I purchased on my own. Because, I don't go out and prostitute myself for free goods. Now, if you want to send me a t-shirt, I'll wear it. I'm not above that. But the idea is you got to be consistent with that. And I don't want to come across that way. And I've had a shelving manufacturer, for instance, reach out to me about shelves that they wanted me to test and review because I purchased their overhead shelving unit. And that worked out really well. And I was impressed with the overhead unit. I gave some cons about it, some issues that I had and how I fixed it. And they liked the fact that I not only showed how I installed their shelf, but also how I overcame certain obstacles that I ran into in my specific instance. Not everybody's going to have the certain circumstances that I was in, but that's what impressed that particular company about how I did the review. And that's why they wanted me to do reach out. And a lot of the tools that they sell are very similar to tools that I currently have access to where we work. And I've made a personal decision that if it's an exact replica, I'm not going to do that out of courtesy unless it's something specific. But if it's got enough differences to where it's not something that is going to cross any lines of personal versus professional work, I'll test it. And this company liked kind of what I did on one of the recent reviews of one of their tools, and they asked me to do another one on another because they wanted to know if there was other tools that I liked, and they had a couple tools that were really cool. So again, you've got to be true to yourself, and if they don't match with who you are and you don't match with who they are, I wouldn't sweat too much about the outcome. Just stay true to you and let that be the main focus.
Yep. And so with that said, manufacturer wise, there's some manufacturers that, okay, so let me back up here. A lot of the people who are behind the scenes for the manufacturers you want to work with have zero interest in what the company does as far as what they sell, what they're used for. And you can tell this if you go to look at a company and they're posting things. I'm trying to think of I don't have an exact because I don't want to call them out, but there's some that basically, they don't have any idea what you're doing with the product. They're just like, hey, great. Thanks for showing our product. Like, we appreciate that. They're not engaging with it. Hey, dang, that was a really cool way of using it. Never thought of that. When you can tell that there's someone who's behind the scenes actually knows what's going on, or the team behind it knows what's going on, that really makes a difference to know who you're talking to. But some manufacturers just say, hey, look, we need, 50,000. I know, and I can call this one out because this one has been, for the longest time, they were this way. Rust-Oleum, 50K on IG. That was it. You had to meet that goal in order to get any kind of talking to them. Best thing to do is really just reach out to a manufacturer and just find out, hey, what's your minimum? What you looking for? When can we start the conversation? I go about it a different way, and I have with everything that I've done. I think my favorite one's Fuji, because I made Fuji so mad at the fact that I was finishing all these things with a Harbor Freight gun that's, $15, and they have a $300 gun that when sitting down and just having a conversation with Jim from Fuji, and he's just like, how in the world do you do that? And it's like, well, when you're used to using that type of gun, you make it work for what you got. He's like, what can I do to put one in your hands? I'm like, no, I don't want a free one. I don't want anything like that. And he's like, no, trust me. Just what can I do to put one of these guns in your hands so therefore you can see what a real gun's like? And I was like, oh, it's a challenge. That's how I got my Fuji gun. I didn't ask him for it. I told him, no, absolutely, you don't have to do that. I'm not looking for that. I'm fine with what I have. I'm really glad I got it because I learned so much about where guns have really come from since I've been doing this back in 2000. When it was a $300 gun, you're like, yeah, okay, that's automotive application. I don't need that. I can make do with what I've got. But when you see how much you save in materials, you start to realize that that's an investment for yourself for the long run. So, like with the Dewalt thing, I have no idea. I don't know if someone threw my name in the hat or what, but they contacted me and said, hey, would you like to participate? Sure. But anytime I get something, I've turned down a lot of things where I'm like, I'll never use that. What was the one? That Chopstick Maker. Oh, Bridge City Tools. Remember that chopstick? I would have loved to have had that. It was the coolest thing to me. It really was. Making chopsticks out of things like, what do you call it? Paduke and Purple Heart and Yellow Heart and all that. But I had absolutely no use for it. So I'm like, no, I don't want to take that. So I don't take products just to take them. That's the other thing, is that you don't want to be that person if you can help it. It's cool to get free stuff. Who's not going to like it? But if you're not going to use it, then you're really not doing yourself any services for the conversation of that manufacturer moving forward with other manufacturers. They all talk. We've seen it. You and I have. I mean, when they're sitting down at dinner at a show, they're all sitting there, and most of all the salespeople know each other. They're hanging out. They chit chat about things. So names get thrown around a lot, as far as, hey, yeah, I started working with this person. Oh, that's cool. And they'll talk as far as, oh, we didn't have a really good experience with that person, blah, blah, blah. So you got to stay true to yourself whenever you're doing something. So like with Mohawk, working on something, I don't know what we can figure out per se, because I don't really want anything from them, but I want to help them on their content because it's cold to me. They made all these great videos back in the 90s, and whoever was in charge of that did a good job, but then all of a sudden they just stopped, and then they tanked, and they had no social media. Here it is 2021, and they're trying their best to get back in the market. So for me, I just tag them on stuff so that way they can at least post it, something different, give them something. It's completely for free on my end of it. I just want to get myself in front of them. Then they start the conversation, and we move on from there.
Yeah.
So that's how I've been doing it on a personal level. Now, of course, when it comes to work stuff, people, I try never to take advantage of that situation, because then I don't think the trust equity is there for the people who want to see what I do outside of work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So as far as, let's see, Gerald.
So that was a long way around to say that depends on the manufacturer, Gerald. Some people want a lot, some people want a few. So.
And see, if you've been told you have a minimum of 10,000 views, Is that on your videos? You know, because it's real easy to crank that up if you want to post it absolutely on every Facebook group. You want to embed it on every website, write a blog, have people share it. You can get views that way. But at the same time, the downside of that is that there's no engagement. So if someone's telling you they want 10,000 views, I don't know. I would talk to them more, been like, well, you know, maybe I only have 5,000 views, but I have over 1,400 comments and I have over so many watch minutes. Like there's a lot in the algorithms and the stats that you could tell somebody. What really matters is that people are engaging with your content.
Now,
You
I have
know,
seen companies that said 10,000 subscribers.
yep.
And if that's the case, that's a little different ballgame.
And then it also depends on the subscriber on what platform. 10,000 on IG gets you the swipe up. That's why they want that. So therefore, your story that you post, you can swipe up to go directly to the website. Then that also starts a whole nother conversation as far as getting a bit tree or getting a tiny link or getting something where you can track that people are going from your posts to that company. That's the other thing, is that you got to show that they're, because they'll come back to you and say, you know, we only had 87 views on this. This doesn't really seem like it's working out. And you can say, well, I've got 347 over here. So, you know, somewhere the numbers aren't matching up. You do have to have something for yourself that's accountability. And those two, Bittree or TinyLink, they work out really good for that.
Yeah,
But I will say, oh, go ahead.
no, just say you gotta kind of cover yourself in that equation too. So,
Well, that's if you make an agreement. I will say that there's also that factor. Do you sign a contract? Do you make an agreement with them that you'll perform this much and get this in return? Every bit of that is different in how you want to do it. How do you want to do business with this company? Because basically this is a write-off for them. This is a marketing expense. They're not spending, you know, $3,000 to put this ad out on YouTube for 12 months. Instead, they're going to pay you this product, whatever the product may be, and they're expecting, you know, so much on their return on their investment. So you just have to look at it that way. To the company, really, it's just an expense as far as their advertising costs. You're getting something for free. They're putting some into it, but what is it that you're both looking to get out of it?
yeah. And I've run into that with you know, a couple companies that have reached out, and you know, and there's been a couple where I've reached out and gotten the same similar answer, that you know, and sometimes that answer comes in silence, no response. You know, as a business, at least have the courtesy to say, you know, we're not a good fit, or not at this time, or something. You know, but
Yeah.
I get it. They're probably being inundated with millions of people reaching out asking about that product. I mean, there are certain finishes. I mean, I remember what was you know, a couple of years ago, Rubio was just slaughtering, you know, people and giving them free stuff to go test their product.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so there are other companies like that who just flood the market with product, wanting people to test it, and they don't care who. You know, they figure that
Want that name.
if they send out 10,000 and you know 500 of them come back with actual reviews, and of those 500, 10 are really good, that might be in that higher echelon of content creators, then they feel like they won. You know, then it was a flooded market that was valuable. But you know,
Who dis? Who dis from JP Brown? Who dis?
wow, look at you.
He's one. He's one that's definitely he's got a little insight on some of this. You know, I'm trying to think that as a person who is approaching a company, you definitely want to make sure you can provide what you can provide. You do not want to approach a company if there is possible turmoil in your life, if there is a possible situation that is not taken care of. Let's say you have a family member that's in jail or in court. May not be the right time to do a thing, because if something happens and you can no longer fulfill your end of the bargain or the deal or the agreement, then that's going to look bad on you. I mean, yes, there are certain life things that happen, but at the same time, you definitely want to make sure you're in a spot that you can fulfill your part of the agreement. I've seen that a lot on IG, where people, you know, oh my gosh, I got this great deal, I'm going to be working for you. And then like 2 days later, I've got to quit IG for a while. Some things came up, and it's like, that sucks. And at the same time, dang, that's not going to look good for you later.
Yeah. I
That's all
mean,
I'm
I
saying.
ran into something similar to that recently with the last tool that I reviewed. I had an agreement with them that I would produce a video and some content within 2 weeks. And once I got the product, there was a life circumstance that occurred. And so I reached back out to that company. I said, listen, I've had this come up immediately. I reached out to them and said, look, I've had some things come up personally that it's not going to be able to happen in 2 weeks. Can you extend that to additional weeks? And I
Mhm.
promise you, not only will I do the review video, but I will post content on other social media platforms intermittently in the process of performing that review. And then when it's all said and done, I will post my review and then promote it on my other platforms. And they more than happily agreed to that. And so sometimes if you come back with options because of life circumstances, and most of these companies will be understanding, there was no physical contract that was signed, but it was a verbal agreement back and forth via email. And I consider that, because it's my word, that I
Yeah.
told them I would perform this action in the time that we both agreed upon, that it was my duty to then let them know that I was not going to be able to hold up my end of the bargain and offer them above and beyond what we originally discussed. So, when you're dealing with that, regardless of how many followers you have, if you do that and you treat businesses that way, like Mike said, they all kind of talk in circles. So eventually that will come back, and hopefully, more companies will want to do business with me. And clearly it was acceptable because they reached out to me and wanted to do one more product review. So,
Yeah. Yeah. It's, they definitely talk. They definitely have things to say. And some manufacturers decide to leave their job and go marry some of the content creators. There are some crazy things out there that have happened, and we have watched it happen. So it's not to say that it's not possible, but
I'm
the
already married. He's
numbers,
not talking about me.
no, no, sorry. But I think it all matters if they're coming to you, Gerald, and they're saying you need to have 10,000 views on, like, is it on a story? Is it on Instagram? Is it on Twitter? 10,000 views where? On one video? Like, there's a lot open there. I would really dig down and find out what they mean by that. Some will say, hey, you need to have 10,000 subscribers, and they look at my number and they're like, you've only got like 1,000. It's like, yep, I'm not worried. Like, I'm not trying to like grow it all out of control. I'd rather have 1,000 people who care about what I do than 10,000 or 9,000 people that are just kind of, I don't know, people that just follow to follow so they'll hope I'll follow back. Like, there's another game. But
Yeah, say, now, does that mean just views on this one video, or does that mean how many people have seen my television show that's
I
nationally
was gonna
shown?
say, yeah, if
Yeah,
you, I mean,
a
you should.
nationally broadcasted television
I
show.
mean,
I mean,
that's
how
not.
many views you want?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me contact PBS real quick to find out how many views I have.
Yeah.
Like, that should have been a no brainer to me. Um, and at the same time, it all depends on the market. I know for us, my boss did not quite understand the West Virginia PBS market. He's just like, why? I don't quite understand why we would do that. And literally, that's when everything hit the fan over here for us, is that new software changes, this and that, and all of the sponsorships just dropped. Like, they were like, we just don't have time for this. There's too much going on. So day job wise, a lot of them just fell to the wayside. I had a lot that were already in the fire, that were waiting for something to happen. And once it did, it was kind of like, it's still there. But I notice for myself, people starting out very passionate, very energy driven, they're go, go, go. But if I note it, I pay attention to a lot of Instagram accounts that I want to work with. And if I'm watching them and it's like they have a lot of irons in the fire of different types, that means that, if you have 10 irons in the fire, you're only putting forth 10% per iron to get 100% done. Do I want to be a part of that? That's the number one thing I look at, because if you have too many irons in the fire, you have too many things going on, burnout will eventually happen. And that's usually when they're like, oh, I got to take a break from doing this. There's a lot going on. It just became too much, whatever. I just see that happen all the time, especially Instagram is just an easy one to watch that happen with. Um, but with that said, if they are passionate about a product, like for you, for instance, Chris, you had that micro jig, with the Dove, but you You kept in evolving that system. You kept evolving things that could go on it, the jigs, the clamps, everything that you could do with that. You took like basically one product and grew things with it, but you did it for yourself.
Mhm.
And I think that's where they really started picking up on it, is that it wasn't for free necessarily, but you were like, oh, well, I could do this and I can do that and blah, blah, blah. It just started growing. When you can hold dust collection fittings so you can hang them and do everything you need to with that clamp, that was pretty cool. Like, I didn't see anyone else doing that.
Yeah, it's been fun, and I just, matter of fact, just released another video on my Instagram last yesterday. No, it was today, where I used my made a bracket for my sled to hold my new phone mount, so I can get clear shots without the bracket kind of bouncing around. Much more solid. It's fantastic.
And another thing that we could do too, and this is for everyone who's listening as well. I have a Stream Deck. I haven't played with it yet as far as making it a part of our show right now, but it will eventually get there. I've been using it more and more daily. That's one thing I do, is that if I go to review a product or if I go to integrate a product, I just start using it daily, find a use for it, try to throw it in there, break the cycle that I've gotten used to doing. But I've noticed that I don't like the stand with it. So it has a lip on it to where you could make, like, you could CNC out a piece of wood and then it'll fall in and be nice and flush. And so I was going to find the template. There's a template somewhere for it. I think it comes in the box so you can make your own. But I was thinking, how cool would it be to have, give that to you and say, hey, check this out. What do you think you could do? And then that's a CNC part that you could make for people. So my want and need in this case, where I think it's not really a want and need, but it'd be cool to have that. If Chris could, then he looks at it, he's got time, he says, yeah, we could do that. Then that helps him out. That's a collaboration. Collaborations, I think, are extremely helpful for manufacturer talking, because you're working within the community that they're already trying to get into, or they're already trying to get their brand name out there. Collaborations are another thing a lot of people, I don't think they pay attention to, brand wise. I don't think they pay attention to the importance of being able to work together with someone else in a different platform or a different medium.
Yeah.
I just ran out of wind.
Oh, I thought you had something on your mind because you kind of went off like this.
Yeah, I was just trying to catch my breath.
Oh.
These lungs, they don't work no more.
But yeah, so it's fun, if you're trying to get into it, and everybody's got a different opinion, and I'm not much of a go-getter. I'm not much of a salesman about my own stuff, so I'm not going to go out and pitch myself to get free stuff. I don't feel good about it. Now there are times where I've inquired about special deals or something like that, just to kind of test the waters and see what happens, and recently had a really good success story with that, and that was not my original intention, but it turned out to be to where now I've not only got one of the only ones in the U.S., but it looks like the only ones in the U.S. for I don't know how many more months it'll be before they're released to the public, but I'm going to have probably 9 months of testing on this thing before they ever go public, and we'll see how it goes. I'm enjoying it. So
I think that's one thing that is missing in today's market that used to be readily available, was being able to do R&D in the field with customers. I don't see a lot of that anymore. Like, I have that Fuji gun, and they told me, don't worry about it, this and that. Just hit me every once in a while when you post something. I just want to see you use it. Okay. But what I figured out is that, okay, so just like this Stream Deck here, I'm trying to incorporate it in all my finishing and this and that, but I'm also reviewing it at the same time. I don't think a review should be a week.
Yeah.
I think a review should really, you have to put it in there. And Crystal, he can attest to this, because I had that thing, 3 months maybe before I even took it out of the box, because I was so scared. I don't know about scared, but I was just like, man, I don't want to ruin it. Like, it's $300 gun. I don't want to ruin that. But I remember when I finally did, I had to, because the gun I was using, I was stupid enough to put white into the clear gun, which is the biggest no-no. I mean, that's basically time for a new gun, because you don't want to be spraying black clear, clear over top of black, and have this little white pigment just shoot all over. It does not work out well. You just sit there and shake your head. So clear gun's always the clear gun. So that's how I got a new clear gun. But I noticed that, in the testing, the spraying, the ability, changing the air, this and that. Like you start to really get in depth with it and have a good review for it. So I will have that because I do need to get that out there. Because a lot of people ask, hey, how's that thing been doing? Because that's what I like about Instagram is that you have these people that are really engaged in what you're doing. They're watching a lot when you do something. And I see the stalkers. I love looking at it because you can see everybody. That's what I think is so cool about it. So you can see everybody, they're watching. And you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know they actually enjoyed the content. But when they finally come out and say, hey, I've been watching a long time. I just have this question about it. It makes you feel kind of good. Like they're connected with you on this. They're invested with you as a person. And I think that matters because when you start seeing manufacturers following you, that's a good sign that they're paying attention to what you're doing.
And you got to think too, the review is it's not something you're going to get instant gratification or within a month or 6 weeks. You got to think this is content out on the web. I'm getting a lot of messages and comments and questions about products that I reviewed and assembled 2-3 years ago or 2 years ago. And it's questions about, hey, I saw when you did this, you ran into this problem and you overcame it this way. Well, I've got this problem and I'm not really sure what to do. Well, what that does is that creates engagement with the consumer, not with you, about a product that's a brand that you were just promoting and reviewing. So then that creates more engagement on your channels, which boosts your numbers even more. And so it's been really fascinating to see a lot of these people inquire about certain products that I've done reviews on that originally weren't set out to be reviews. They were just simply talking points of me going through the assembly or the unboxing or the initial test of the product. And so sometimes reviews will come out of nothing and you wind up don't hear a thing for a year, and then after 2 years, all of a sudden it's one of the most popularly watched videos on your channel. Don't know how that works, but it does. But
you don't intend it to be that way. And also, and JP did say, by the way, that you nailed it, and you did, because having that engagement, having someone ask the questions, you're being the brand ambassador at that point. So then you can also start to advertise yourself as a brand ambassador, which is when you start getting into affiliate links, you start getting into making money on the side with the brand because you're driving traffic to them. So that's another, there's so many different levels of this with talking with a manufacturer and how you want to do it. How are you comfortable with it? Which, there's people that do unboxing videos very well. There's people that try to get into it and then they realize that it's just not for them. So they have a couple on the website. Or in this case here, I really think that just using something in general, you hit something, roadblock of some sort, you overcame it, and they're like, oh, that's a great idea. And then that conversation starts. I think that is extremely important as well. And brand ambassadors, I don't know if it sounds sexy. It's not like spies, but Now, JP did say that I get railed when I do a review video without testing it. I have a pocket hole jig showdown video coming out in a few weeks that will have testing for 4 projects.
Yeah, I know one of the pocket hole jigs you just got, and I'm sure you feel like me. You like its predecessor better than the most modern version that's available.
What are we talking about? That new Craig?
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it. I don't care. I still think the Craig 1 and the pneumatic Craig 1 was the best design they ever had. And then they just kind of trashed it until they got to the K5. I think the K5 is great, but the clamp, they didn't make the clamp user friendly, so it's easy to break. That's why I like the pneumatic one. Oh, so my dad got it when it was original. Played with it a lot. When you go to talk to the Craig guys, they kind of look at you like, wait, you actually use the aluminum pneumatic block? Yeah, it's like the best thing there ever was. But at the same time, when he said, I never use this thing, I don't need it anymore, you can have it, I was like, ooh, I get so excited. And then he realized, I need that back because I need it a lot more than I thought I wouldn't. So now I just have to wait. But if you get a chance, K5 or the original Craig system, if you can find one, they were metal. Awesome.
Yep.
So let me get comfortable, take off my socks.
You said you're taking off your socks and then you put your hands up. I thought you were. I was like, what are you doing? It's not that kind of show.
Yeah, sorry. Just taking a sip of my Dr. Pepper. I'm like nursing it over here. Yeah, the pneumatic was the best. and my clamp broke on my K5. It's a good system. I don't like it at the same time. That whole little push button thing for the toggle inside, plastic, metal, it's not going to last. That's the downside to it. The original one they had on the K4 was good. It's just a regular, what was that? The Get Grip or Got It Grip or something, whatever they were. All metal construction, good cam clamp. Downside was it wasn't easy to adjust. People were complaining about adjustability. So as a manufacturer, here's where you run into the roadblock of complaints versus design flaws. You have a lot of people, and this is when you open up the home market as a brand. If your brand that you want to work with is in a home market, like a Lowe's or a Home Depot, they're introducing do-it-yourself gadgets that really don't need to be in some markets. And I think the K4 and the K5 are prime examples of that. Would they work in the market? Yes. Do you have a lot of people that don't know what they're doing and they read the instructions, which are a little confusing, and then they were breaking stuff? Absolutely. Yep. Oh, I don't know that one. The Masca? The Masca is really good. He's got some pocket hole stuff. Let's see what Gerald says real quick. Gerald says, I worked with a vendor manufacturer R&D department, and they liked my comments, so they created a marketing video of me with their product. Lots of views, but it is on their site and not mine. Still available to watch on their site. So there's another deal. The content that you make, is it for the manufacturer brand, or is it for yourself featuring their products? It's another conversation you have to have.
Yep.
With us, you and I, if we do anything on company time, then it's company's views, company's video. But if we do something on our own time that we think the company needs to have as a video, then it becomes something that we can put on our time on our channel.
Yeah.
And that's just a rule we made with our boss, because it's like, well, if it's company time, that makes total sense. It's for the company then. But that's another thing you gotta ask yourself, because last extravaganza, we had the 3 videos from the oh my gosh, my mind went blank. Reclaimed Audio Podcast guys. And each one made a video about saw blade. All I did is send them a saw blade. And we featured that, I think it was for 3 months during the extravaganza, November, December. And then it was, then I, turned off monetizing for me, no copyright issues, had them put it on their channel. They can do everything they need to on their side of it. So I just gave it 3 months. And that was just kind of a general, I just threw something out there. They said, sure, let's do it that way. So it's now theirs. They can do whatever they want to with it. It's still on our channel, but we don't make any money off of it. It's just views. And I don't have any copyright things. I'm like, no, that's theirs. We're actually using it.
Yep.
And then therefore, they get everything they need from it.
Well, it just gave me a thought, Gerald. If you need 10,000 views from this one company, if that video that you did for that other manufacturer has 10,000 views, use that as a sample. Say, listen, this is what I did when I was doing some partnership with this other company, and you show them a link to that video. They can see how many views that video has, and if it meets that requirement for them, say, look, this is what happened with them, and look at the results they've got. So there's ways around it. You're still utilizing content you created, but you created it for someone else. So, take advantage of that.
Absolutely. That is a very good point, because that's like your portfolio. That's your resume. Anytime you do any of these things, keep track of it, keep a view on it. I mean, I've had a lot of people say, oh man, I did this one post and it got, it blew up or whatever, it went viral. Kind of like you had that one video where it was, I remember when you were making it, it was just a video. You were just having a good time making that sled, and then all of a sudden it took off. Okay. And as a influencer, I guess you'd say, as someone who wants to work with the company and you have one video that blew up, don't use that video as the only video you have in your portfolio, because they will go to check, well, what did the videos before that do? We only has 800 views on this one, 200 views on that one, and 22,000 on this one. They're going to see real quick that, okay, not all your content's hitting where you're showing. So you don't want to inflate it, because if they go to look, turns out you're inflating or blowing smoke, more than likely you won't hear back.
Yep.
And I've seen that across the board too.
And that's the nature of social media. It can only be one video, and out of the blue, something hits with that and clicks with the algorithm and just explodes. Mm-hmm. And the rest of your stuff, it's like, why is this video not doing it? In my opinion, it's better quality. The audio's better. The product is better. The overall everything is better. Why is this not doing what that one did? And so you can't start getting into those questions. But like you said, it's kind of an average. If you're going to talk to customers and potential manufacturers about, your content, you got to kind of give them a good average of what you normally see, views, click counts.
Absolutely.
Like
And I mean, okay, so I think Gerald's a really good case for everyone. If you haven't seen it yet, Appalachian, oh my gosh,
Heritage.
It's not wood, right? Heritage, there you go. For some reason.
I got you, Gerald.
Yeah, thank you, Gerald. Thank you for that, Chris. But at the same time, if you've ever watched the content, like I'm just watching the videos, and very, very well spoken. It's almost like you get a history lesson with the furniture. So you get the heritage part of it. You get the understanding of why this was there. And yet, to me, the views are very low. Like, I think it should be way bigger than it is. Now, I know with Gerald, he's almost got like a team. He's got people. He's got restrictions, I guess is a good way to put it, because it is kind of PBS, so it is owned in some ways. So he has to kind of watch how he advertises it and where he goes with it. But if you haven't checked it out, I would highly suggest you do that. And actually, I'm going to go grab that right now. You speak for me.
Yeah, and so he's got a really good niche with his presentation, because he's not only building a reproduction piece of furniture, but he's also, like Mike said, providing the history of that piece of furniture. And that's a niche market. I don't know of any other people that are doing that. And I by no means know everybody, but that to me is a very niche market that you could take advantage of, and start looking at other avenues, not just woodworking side of things. Look at, the History Channel, or places that dabble more in period history. That would be a good avenue. Partner with people who are more into that side of it, not necessarily the furniture side. You're bringing a different market than what their people would normally see. So I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think that would be a fantastic way to maybe approach it, is start looking outside of that woodworking box and more into the historical side of it, and see if you can't get some partnerships that way.
And then the other thing is too, is that you don't have to, okay, so when you have this skill set, when you have this amount of information, when you're providing this level of content, sometimes it's above YouTube as far as the people. Curiosity Stream is one that is loaded with a lot of people from YouTube who have an exceptional amount of information on a topic. And so then they go to Curiosity Stream. There's other services like Magellan TV. But basically what you're doing is that their services, they're paid services, to where people who want that content, they want quality documentaries, whatever it may be. And so they're seeking something, they'll pay a premium for that subscription, and you'll get paid more because of whatever they watch. And it's almost like YouTube Premium, except for they're looking for, television shows and everything else on theirs, where these other channels are actually historically going to be aimed at people who are interested in this. And that'll grow much bigger too.
And I'll tell you what, with the recent explosion of the plus channels, meaning all these networks now are offering the online plus version, which gives you not only their normal channels, but it also gives you a lot of additional things that aren't aired nationally on television. Mm-hmm. Discovery Plus, they cover the HGTV, and some of these other networks that are subsidiaries, but there's a lot of those that are now coming up with smaller networks within that online streaming service. That would be, to me, a very cool thing to try to, potentially look at getting in touch with some of those folks. Because, again, I would push that history side of your furniture making, because that's again, nobody's doing that. Everybody's either making furniture or they're making history or talking about history. This is really bringing it back. The closest I could think would be like Barnwood Builders. That those guys do a very good job in their show of not only showcasing the historical side of most of the cabins that they tear apart, but then a lot of times they're off, in the middle of an episode with a little 5 minute stint where they're talking to some guy who's restored something and presenting the history behind it. That to me, that's why I love that show, because it's very authentic that way, and it brings not only the modern ways of doing these things, but it's using the old stuff, and you're getting the history and you're getting the interaction. So it's a great little package, and you got very similar setup to that. Very good.
And he said he's trademarked, so no one else can do exactly what he's doing, which is great. And yeah, they're from West Virginia. There's it's a mountain recycling center off of Old 70 in Burke County. It's before you get to Eichard. But there is a house. It was an old farmhouse, and I really need to take a picture of it before they tear it down. But because of Barnwood Builders, I actually know how the house was constructed with the way that they did it, because they took all of the outside siding off and it's just nothing but slabs inside. That's the whole house is constructed out of these large slab beams rather than logs. And it's cool because I see how they cut it out. I see how they hewed it. I see how they put the my mind is horrible tonight. Not tender, but they're like the blocks, the key blocks that go in between the two, so the wood can still expand and contract, but they're supported. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't have known anything about looking at this driving by it if it wasn't for the history lesson learned from that. So I don't know. I'm looking at his YouTube channel. He's got 829 subscribers with 73 videos. Some trailers, some full, 26 minutes, so 30-minute videos, 30-minute shows. And I don't know. There's other places you can definitely go. There's Venmo, or not Venmo, Vimeo. Vimeo now has a streaming service that you can basically upload wherever you want to, and people pay for it, and you have your own channel, if you will, and you could do it that way. Because we were looking at that.
Reddit's another really good place, but they're a little weird. Reddit's so you got to be a little bit more cautious in how you do things there, because it's set up differently. You got to have karma coins and weird things. But anyway,
actually, everything's based on engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, but you're completely rated on your engagement. So karma, what he's talking about is if you make a comment on something and you're a D-bag about it, then you lose karma. If you're contributing and you're giving good points or advice, then your karma goes up because people give you a little thumbs up on your comment. But it's a dangerous place to go at the same time, because it is the full internet. It has been the full internet since 2005, 2007, somewhere in there. 2007, I think. But it's been, communities all over the world go there. So you're going to get a whole rash of who knows what.
Yeah.
Yep. Reddit can be great, but then again, you can get some unruly subs. Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, if you're working with a manufacturer, the biggest thing to look for is just to ask the questions that you want to know, because I don't personally want anyone to have to go jump through all these hoops just to do it for a free product or for sponsorship on something. I think that if you build up your content first and then take a look at maybe reaching out. For me, the latest one that I did was that, again, brain's going dead, but it's the gentleman who made us a clock, the abrasive. I'm proud of it, out of walnut. And he did the whole thing with epoxy. Buddy of his CNC'd it. Wyatt. Wyatt is 16 years old. Okay. And I didn't know this. So I just looked at the content, said, okay, I understand. And as we're talking, he's like, I apologize. I'm going to have to talk to you, after 5 o'clock. So it's going to be a little bit tough to do the communication because I'm in school and then I've got to go to work. So therefore it's a little tough. And I thought, okay, school, I'm thinking college. And then when he came back and said, yeah, it's a little bit tougher for me because I got to wait for my dad to get home in order to take the car, blah, blah. I'm thinking, okay, how old are you now? Like, I had to ask the question. He said, oh, I'm 16. I was like, oh, in a way that's kind of cool, though, because he's got the drive.
Mm-hmm.
So for myself, when I look at it, I don't give him a whole lot, but I give him the ideas and I say, hey, if you want to do this, we'll be more than happy to throw it up behind us, talk about it, promote your stuff. That's fine. And for him, he's ecstatic. No, it's not paying the bills. It's not getting the kids through college. But for him, it's building that self-esteem. And sometimes just that alone is worth its weight in gold. When you can really kind of turn someone's direction around on the way that they're going with their content, or they're getting close to being burnt out, they just don't have the drive, something's not going right, whatever. And you see that and you help them along the way, that turns out to be really good too.
Yeah. So when we're here talking about, the idea of either partnerships or working with manufacturers to do reviews, and, it can go so many ways. But, Gerald, what I can tell you, man, stay true to what you got, man, because you got a really good gig there, a really good platform. And, if you keep doing that, it'll come around. I feel confident in that.
Absolutely.
You'll have people begging for your stuff.
And really the history lesson behind it while you're doing it, maybe, I don't want to tell you what I think, because I really think you're going on a track that is right. Anything I say to you isn't going to help much, because I think you're already there. The downside of it is getting it out there. Okay. I know, for instance, on your YouTube channel, this is for Gerald, and please don't everyone go run out and steal this, but he doesn't have the channel name locked in after 100 subscribers. Like, as simple as that may seem, when you go to embed these things, or you go to advertise it, or you go to search for it, Appalachian Heritage Woodshop did not come up early because the URL is not there. Your name is not on the channel necessarily, as far as, youtube.com/channel/Appalachian Heritage Woodshop. So that simple as that is, that also goes to Google, that goes to Bing, and that starts to grow how people can find you.
Okay, all three of our viewers tonight, go out there now and you subscribe to Appalachian Heritage.
I'm gonna go steal it. Yeah, JP Brown went after a sponsor because he loves their products and their company culture. So JP's talking to me right now. Yeah. And not all of us can be like Bourbon Moth. Got to keep grinding. So he's an interesting case. He's an interesting case. I really don't know what to make of him. Met him in person. See what he's doing. See his thumbnails. I see his way that he uses his adopted children for sympathy. All I can say is it's a very interesting case. Not everyone's going to be like him. So not all of us can meet Neil Patrick Harris and make a tree bench. But yeah, so in talking with JP, for instance, he had this great idea. He had a couple videos he was going to do. He wanted to feature the products in the videos. He had, and so what I did with JP, and I try to do with everybody, is like, okay, give me the 3 things you want. And the reason I do that is because I don't want you to do something you don't want to do. I can see it in the video. I can see it in every sponsored content video when someone's out there and they're like, I really like using this product. It's the greatest product I've ever used. They're paying me for every time I say product. I can tell that, and instantly I'm turned off as a viewer. So I don't want people to do that for anything. So for him, for instance, he did do the plans. That's right. He did do the plans for the Neil Patrick Harris pitch. I forgot. Gosh, he mentioned that in the video. I'm sorry, JP. But at the same time, timing was wrong. I said, hey, maybe if we can wait till the extravaganza or push it closer to that. So he's making videos, he's doing his thing about it, and then I get everything worked out on the back end. But at least I'm transparent with him. That's one thing I try to be on anyone who contacts or talks to me about these things, is try to be as absolutely transparent as possible, because at least they understand. I hate when you try to talk to anybody and they beat around a bush, or, we'll get back to you. And it's like, okay, look, I'm super busy right now. I'm not going to get back to you for like at least a week. This is the truth. Okay. And, if they're like, oh, well, thanks for your time, I'll go somewhere else. Okay. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, I'll get back to you and then forget, because I'm horrible about that. I have to make reminders. But I try to at least be transparent about it.
Yeah, and if you're going to get into that, so you may have to start with something like, instead of getting a partnership with money, partnership with product.
Partnership with product is great, by the way.
Yeah, and I'm more than happy with partnership with product, because I need product. If it's product I don't need, I don't care about, sponsorship. But or the partnership with that. But it's an interesting topic. I mean, I wasn't sure where we were going to go with this tonight, but I couldn't believe it filled an hour.
Yeah, no, me neither, actually, because there's still like 100 things I could talk about in this particular thing with everything that I've learned doing this job from the industry side, and then watching other companies do this job and their criteria. I know there's power tool machinery people, they don't want to give up a single product. Everyone can get as mad as they want to at SawStop.
Chris is now extremely available to demonstrate and review a SawStop cabinet saw, a PCS 36-inch fence. More than free to test that for you and review it heavily.
Oh, that's right. You're still in the market for one, aren't you?
Yes, and use it a lot, because my table saw is the hub of everything I do.
Actually, your entire shop is centered around the table saw. That is true.
It is. I call that my saw island.
That makes sense. I like that.
It is. It's essential. Can't do anything on the CNC until I cut it on the saw. So, anyway.
Yeah, good luck with some of that. So, part 2.
I'm not stuck on SawStop. I will accept Laguna, Powermatic, Jet.
Oh my gosh. So here's where you either are joking about it as a person, because I know Chris is joking, but at the same time, hey, who wouldn't like a machine dropped off at your door to review? Yeah. When I say that it's not going to happen right now in this market, no one's going to be dropping off a machine because they don't even have machines to sell to people, and people are paying premiums to get their machines. So yeah, if you're looking to do a
dust collector too, but I got it.
Hey, you got lucky on that one. That's all I'm going to say. Chris Miller needs some cliff notes. Chris, we're basically talking about how people would contact you.
Who's Cliff?
So we're talking
it's capitals, so I didn't know. I was just talking about your buddy Cliff. Is that like a family member?
Basically, how people would call manufacturers or talk to manufacturers for sponsored content, for videos, for products, for reviews, for whatever. Because Chris and I both have different ways of going about it. We've been approached different ways, and then we just want to share with everybody how to take a look at it, because every company is different.
Yeah, see, I've got a really good friend who's in a certain product business that, it's a product that I use a lot. Not naming names.
On a big orange sticker, that's for sure. Yeah, no, we're not going to say that. So yeah, there's some manufacturers will say we're not going to throw our, so here's one of those people, Chris Miller. We enjoy him as a person, so we're not going to throw him out there on what he does. But at the same time, he's a great resource for us to just ask these questions as well. Mm-hmm. How does this company go about doing this? Because there was a product, I can say this because it didn't work out. As a business, okay, we were looking for a product that we could not get. And there is a particular sanding kit that I made up that I'm very passionate about. So for me, I need to find more of these parts. So now remember, I'm working for a company, so I don't necessarily, it's not going to hurt my feelings either way. But if I can find something that'll fit the niche for everybody else looking for the same thing, then yes, I'm going to reach out. So I reached out to him, and he was nice enough to say, hey, I'll call over to my production people, see if it's possible. And then came back and they said, they just don't see a reason to manufacture this at this time. Okay, not a big deal. So even as someone who works in the industry, we still have to do this negotiation, this not a game, but it's
song and dance, baby. Song and dance.
Song and dance is good. So it never ends. I'll put it that way, because when you're passionate about something, that's the key, though. I think with all of this is that you need to be passionate about the products that you're going to be endorsing, selling, using. Because if you're not, everyone's going to see it. Even the best actors out there can't hide the fact they really don't like this product, but they got paid a lot of money, so they're going to tell you about it.
Yeah, sometimes that song is more like a bad karaoke night, and that dance is like a lane from Steinfeld Show.
Yes. So Chris doesn't look a gift horse in the mouth? No, he doesn't.
Nope, not usually.
Well, we could do this as part 2, because we can get into your limited supply dust collector and how many months you have to review it. And
at this point, it's limited edition.
Well, not only that, there's also so limited an edition that you have the one that's not fixed yet.
It's the one of a kind.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, that makes it so rare. So you have this opportunity as a person, as a content creator, to build up the hype, which is great. I still think that manufacturers are missing out.
Well, and maybe we should try to reach out to. Well, Gerald knows who Chris works for, doesn't he?
Well, you just let the cat out of that bag.
Oh,
Maybe you
did I?
didn't. You just
Oh,
like
sorry.
saw blades.
Oops. So yeah, I mean, we could maybe
Change
try to
that background real
find
quick.
someone to who's got a ton of experience in this arena, and maybe try to have them on as a guest speaker.
Yeah, when's Gerald going to join us? Because we've already talked to him about joining us. We've been fans of his for a long time now, so you got to get on in here. Maybe we talk about maybe that's part 2. Maybe we have him next week, and we just simply talk about what he's done and what he's run into.
Oh, sorry, I'm just reading JP's comment there.
Isn't it good? It's true.
Him's fighting words right there.
Yeah. So we have a man over here, and we've got
Klingspor over there.
Klingsworth. Yeah, just clicked on it and changed. There we go. I will say that out of all the saw blades, the combination, not because I'm lazy, but because it is a very good blade. Love that blade. Combination blade by Klingspor, 10x50.
I'm preferential to the miter blade, but that's just me.
I do like the miter blade. Don't get me wrong. Let's see here. You have the countersink from Mana, right?
I have the Nomar bit. Yeah,
No bar bit.
did a review on that one.
So here's an interesting case. Chris had seen this bit a lot on another competitor. He wanted to try it. He ordered one. He got it, and then he basically had to convince our purchasing department that, hey, we need to bring this in because this is awesome, and I'll talk about it all day. That also is that song and dance, that game that we play, is that as people of marketing and social media, you still have the purchasing agent that everything has to go through, which is fine. I'm not complaining one bit because they're in control of making sure that we don't spend all of our money.
Yeah, well, not only did I do a review on that bit, but because I had already purchased the Snappy version of the same thing, I did a full head-to-head competition between the two. So it worked out. I mean, I don't, whatever. But yeah, we should try to find somebody who does a lot of these partnerships with reviews and stuff like that and try to get them on here. We'll do a part 2.
We could actually turn this into a small series due to the fact that we have plenty of this. It's so funny because both of us were like, yeah, we could talk about that. I mean, we do it enough. We understand it. But now as we sit here and talk about it, it's already an hour and 7 minutes in. It's like, I don't even think we hit the tip of the iceberg. Like, we still got a lot of lettuce to go.
Part 22 and a third.
Oh, there it is. Okay, sorry. Ooh, he's going to play it. Didn't mean to do that. Here. I'll put this in the comments because if you haven't seen this video from Chris yet, boom, go check it out.
What are you doing?
It's your video on the crisscross crafts
Why
of the
you do
Amana and the Snappy
Oh.
shotgun.
Oh.
Yeah, you forget we can put our own videos in here.
Well, I know. I don't. It's whatever.
And I want to promote myself for a second because on my YouTube on Duff Style 1. Ooh, wait. I did make something just for you for this.
Oh no.
Boom. What do you think? I'm playing with graphics. Let me go.
No, I like the offset style. The blue, I'm not so sure about.
Yeah, the blue, I'm not so sure about either. I'll work on that. But
The color, I like the design, the color scheme.
the design, I'm all for.
So put your opinions down below. What do you think Mike's blue banner graphics there?
So we've got the gray, which I like because it overlaps our screen. We've got the blue, and we've got the green Art Deco. I'm getting into Art Deco right now again. Good Lord. And of course, so you're going to see a lot of symmetry on upcoming graphics, but hey, you got to have a preference on art.
Yeah. I've never met Mr. Deco. How's all Art doing these days?
Man, I miss art. I do. So, oh man, I thought I was subbed to Chris's channel, but I wasn't logged in. Well, fail.
Well, feel bad. There's a lot of people who aren't subbed to my channel, and they're happier for it.
JP does really good graphics, by the way. If you haven't seen JP Brown over at Foxhall Woodworks. See, tonight's not the night. My brain's dead. Does a great job. Let's see here. Change the blue to signature whatnot green. Yeah, that was
Exactly. That's what I was going to tell you.
Yeah.
Drop that blue, put it on
Drop the
green. You're
blue.
there.
That's where I started with this one. That's where that one got started with that
Mhm.
green. Started messing around with it. So yeah, it's
Listen to Kyle. He's a smart man. I mean, he's created
Kyle
a
knows what's
business.
going on.
He's created a business empire in less than a year. I mean, just this guy knows what he's doing.
Okay, see, Chris had some good insight there. Blue's a little hard to read. Change the text to white on the blue. Ah, see, genius. Yep. No, that really is. That something as simple as that
Mm-hmm.
makes all the difference in the world. Mm-hmm. 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 So, what was I going to say now? Craig.
I want to get.
I'm
I'm going to buy a Craig Foreman one of these
Really?
days. Yeah, I want one after I buy my table saw. So there's the next two purchases.
So, wow. See, we can talk about the differences on that. Dang. So much to talk about.
Yeah.
I will say that there was a video I was actually really impressed with. There was a lady that had contacted us at work about spraying her cabinet doors. And I just actually made a video on how to touch up your cabinet doors in the kitchen with aerosol cans and how to make it look all professional. And I told her, I said, normally I don't do this, but this is a perfect reason why I did this video. So I'm going to just, here you go. And then ask your questions on you have after that. And she said that it answered most of her questions. So that gave me feedback on what I was doing. But then I went to look at the video and it has 500 views. I'm like, whoa, doesn't sound like a whole lot. I know. But compared to 53 on some of my other ones, I'm like, dang, this one's taking off. Hey.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to gloat for a minute. That made me feel good at 500 views.
It should.
Awesome. Oh no, where'd you go?
So I'm happy you listened to that person, whoever it was.
Yeah. There's this guy who keeps telling me to make content, and I keep slacking like a loser. I'm at 100%. I'm at fault. Yes. Got to have the contrast. I just didn't know if I had, because I already had the white, little block right there. If having white right there would be too much white, so that's why I didn't.
Yeah, but see, the
white.
block looks more gray.
Well, it's got a shadow underneath it, but I see that. No, it's definitely white, because the ones behind us on our screen, those are gray. And that's also something I was trying to do, just playing around with giving the visual, because you know what I'm doing all this for. So
If you stare long enough at the whatnot logo you had up there a minute ago, if you stare long enough at that, you get mesmerized by the show. So that's the one we need to play all the time, so people are hypnotized and want to do nothing but watch Whatnot podcasts over and over.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot I did change that, didn't I? I was kind of messing around with that up there.
Oh, look at that! I'm hypnotized again.
Right. Yeah, just hey, this is where I play with it. Man, you all are distracting me. I forgot to cut out notches on my cabinet dividers on the miter saw station. Well, there's always tomorrow. The one thing we like to say here in North Carolina is if we don't get to it today, we'll get to it tomorrow.
There's always next week.
There's always next week.
Oh, sorry. Me and you have completely different phrases, don't we?
Yeah. No, I've always heard it to be, hey, if we don't get to it today, we'll get to it tomorrow.
Yep. I was out in the shop last night trying to finish up. I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to come back out here tomorrow before the podcast, try to finish these little blocks, because I have to cut out like 30 of these little block spacer things. I was like, I'm going to come out here tomorrow. And the minute I came in the house tonight, I went, you know what? I'll just do it Saturday. And it worked for me. I've got to keep my mind clear these days, because it's got a lot of stuff going on. So I just came in and watched an episode of Friday Night Lights and got ready for the podcast. So here we are.
There you go. Hey, so JP says he's going to be in Greenville next month for work, and he wants to buy us tacos. If we do, I'd say it has to be on Taco Tuesday, and we got to find a table saw so we can tag Berkey in it.
Does he know that Greenville's not close to Hickory?
I heard tacos. That's up to him.
I thought we were advertising for his next comedy show. And JP Brill will be in Greenville, South Carolina next month for a special show at the Taco Shack by the Highway 12.
Ooh, Highway 12 Taco Shack, where every Tuesday night is double tacos and free beer.
Every Wednesday are fish tacos.
Our tacos will travel, but not too long. We want fresh tacos. But yeah, so is this Greenville, South Carolina? Because that's still a good 2 hours away. Or is it Greensboro? So anyways. Yeah, I think we should. I think we should have a part 2 on this. This is not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, if you guys are interested in jumping on at any time, we can invite you, and you can jump in at any time. in whenever we do this. So if you're like, hey,
Yep.
I really want to jump in there and I really want to talk about this particular topic, like JP, because I know he's got cameras and such, and he could do that. Gerald, you got your camera set up. Even
Yeah.
Chris Miller, that'd be a lot of fun. Kyle, come on,
We've
Kyle.
been
We know
asking
you-
Kyle for a while, just hey, at this point, if you've been watching us even twice, we consider you family. So come on board. We'd
Thank
love
you.
to have you. We'll create a topic around your favorite thing to discuss, and hey, we'll put you in one of these little squares on the screen here.
We've
We'll
got
fit
so
you
many
in,
squares. We can do up to 6 squares.
and guaranteed, Mike will do something with vibrant colors to make you look good.
I'll just get rid of all the colors and just put leaves.
Sure.
I like this one. So
That other one, it looked more like a vector that would fit Kyle's niche pretty good. So if you went back to that black, it looked like a bunch of leaf vectors, and he's very familiar with leaf vectors. So
you got to send me this stuff because I'm not in that CNC world. I chose purposely to stay out of it just because it's a lot of information. You guys, I'll leave it to the experts. For sure. LearnYourCNC.com, not sponsored. But if you are interested in learning, was it Vetric?
yep.
I'm a horrible spokesperson. If you're interested in learning Vetric, check out LearnYourCNC.com for more information. The master course, Chris has taken a look at, gotten to go through some of it. Have you done the whole thing yet?
No, I think I'm about maybe just about a third, possibly. Something like that.
Basically, start to finish, if you've had no idea what to do with Vetric and a CNC machine, and you want to go from basically doing simple signs all the way up to some crazy stuff that he does. LearnYourCNC.com is a great place to do that.
Yep.
And I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille. Sweet, JP. We'll get you in next time for sure. Because I know that you've talked to other manufacturers. It hasn't been just me.
Yep.
We'll get you in there. But for everyone who has joined us tonight, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. This went by so fast.
Appreciate you staying late. We do not pay overtime, but we appreciate you staying late.
Absolutely. But by the way, eventually Going Late will be only available on our Patreon. So sign up on our Patreon to support us in our podcast ventures.
They will then be called What Not Podcast After Dark. Maybe after the show.
I was going to say, because it's already dark whenever we do this.
Yeah, we'll do the after show party or something. The after party. I guess that's what the famous people call it.
No one's getting paid. We do this pro bono, but we enjoy it if we got it. And thanks for the not sponsorship. Of course. Of course. You are one of the what notters. You're one of the originals.
Yeah, we never did do that shirt. We work with a lady who makes T-shirts. We should just come up with a good graphic design and get that to her. And then we can go to wherever and pick up just some green T-shirts.
Tell you what, jump in JP Brown will do the design. Kyle will come up with something cool to go along with that, and then we'll make the T-shirts happen.
Yes, the white notters.
The white notters. Thank you, Gerald. We appreciate you stopping by. We know you've had this question, and so really this one was kind of around you because that was one of the questions you had asked me before too. So I'm glad this could help.
If you walked away feeling like you didn't learn a thing, hey, that's what we're here for. We're here to help.
If you feel like you were more confused than when you got here, you're in the right place.
Welcome to the family.
So once again, I am Dusty1 on Instagram. Chris is Chris Crosscrafts or Christ Crosscrafts. If you want to remember, there's a T in there because I like to bug them about
Christy Cross.
No, now they're confused and think there's a Y.
Christy Cross.
Not sponsored by Christy Cross or any of her affiliates.
Yeah. Don't know who that is, but hey, there we go.
Thank you. Yes, JP has made our comment that our mic game is on point when he came into that big live that we had.
Well, if it's not, then I've epically failed on the money I've blown. So there we go.
Actually, you got yours pretty good price. I got the last hell mic that there is available. So now, if you don't know, the whole original microphone situation with the coil diameter, so basically it looks like a quarter inside, was developed by the Hell Company, and I can't show the name because it's right there. But Unfortunately, due to the great lockdown of 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, gosh, seems like it's going to go on forever, they have slowed down their production, so it's hard to get right now. But Chris, what did you get real quick? Sam?
I have got the
yeah, you get the Samsung.
so
Right?
Samson.
Yeah, USB mic.
It
We'll
is.
do-
It's. I'm trying to
you
look
what,
at the model, but can't see it.
And then ours are not. I don't have any kind of. I mean, I've got it going into a switcher board, but I don't really have any kind of programming software or anything going into mine.
Mine is the Samsung Q9U, and I absolutely love it. I was using a different Samsung, and I could not get the sound to sound great. And this has a lot of different settings on it. But yeah, this is so much better than the other one.
Yes. The other one you were using was sensitive in every way. But I will say this, no matter what microphone you get, that is key right there.
Got to have the cap for it.
You got to have the cap for it. And the reason is that not only the pops, but the anything, the saliva in your mouth, it drives me insane hearing it. So that helps quite a bit. Yes, I really did want to get the Shure MV7. I don't know how to describe it other than you just needed, there was too much to go with it with the software and everything, so I decided not to go that route. But at the same time, it is a very good microphone. So you just have to tune it for yourself, and don't listen to it through speakers, listen to it through headphones after you have talked. Like right now I hear myself as well as the microphone hears it. Try to do it without listening to it with the headphones, then with the headphones, and then afterwards, and then tune it. We can do a whole video on that too. Gosh. By the way, everyone, that is a whole nother side thing for me. Oh, look at this. Gerald says he did use the walnut. Oh, did you use the walnut I sent you? Yeah, JP, you're on the spot now. Did you purpose that walnut?
Or did you just put baby in the corner and just, look that gift horse in the mouth?
You know what? He's trying to change the subject now. No, I'm just kidding. He's not. He's also, that's what microphone you guys using. Well, we're going to wait for this one. But yeah, no, audio, years of audio stuff. So I really enjoy audio and talking about it. Should I just start another channel on audio, or should I just keep it all one channel and just have different playlists? What do you think?
Yeah, just do a different playlist.
Okay, cool. Because I really don't want to do another whole channel.
Yeah, it's too much to keep up with.
Sounds like a nasally redneck. No, you're judging yourself too much. You don't sound like a nasally redneck.
You just sound like a redneck. I mean, that's
just. Oh, that's horrible.
Sorry, man. I had to go there. Not because you sound like a redneck, but you opened the door and I couldn't resist walking through. I apologize.
If there's anyone more redneck in this entire room right now, it is that guy right there. It's Chris. Yeah, by far.
Yeah.
I try my hardest, but I can never be that redneck. I am saving it for a memorial shadow box for my father. Ooh.
Yeah, see, we can't bash you for that now. Nah. So, see, now you've made me look like a complete heel for just, cackling on you a little bit.
No, because he says, Chris ain't wrong. So, see, yeah. But the walnut, there is special woods that I will 100% agree with that I keep for special occasions later on.
Please, you burn exotic woods. Just go away.
Okay, I do burn exotic woods, but they're like little sticks. No, I actually have block modeled purple heart. I haven't really decided exactly what I'm going to do with it, but it's going to be something from my grandfather because it's one of those woods that you can't find block modeled most of the time.
I guess. All right. So what are we doing? Yep. Episode part 2 of...
Actually, it'd be like 1.5 right now at this point. Is what we're getting into it in 1.5 territory.
We're just giving them a taste of what could be if we were sponsored and subscribed to, and the
you mean
bonus,
like on
bonus content show
/whatnot podcast? Yeah, that'd be
yeah. So just we got to give them free taste. I mean, that's how you get people hooked on the drug. The drug of Whatnot podcast.
So thank you so much for watching on the Whatnot podcast. I'm Mike Z.
I'm Chris.
All right. And so next week, it'll be part 2 of the How to Talk to Manufacturers and Waste an Hour and a Half of Someone's Life.
Yep. Hey, y'all have a great night, great week, and we'll see you next time.
All right, everybody, have a great night. Thank you so much for all the comments tonight. This has been crazy, so appreciate it. Thank you. Oh my gosh, makes you feel good inside. Hey,
See y'all. Thank you, Kyle.
have a good night, everybody.